Tendrá muteado, ¿no?
Se te está viendo.
So everybody, welcome to the second session, the second round of debates. I think we're almost ready to start. Head adjudicator, you can identify yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Hello, Ashwak.
Hello, Nada. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's debate. We will start first by checking if all the debaters are here. So I will call your names and see if everyone is present here. So we have for the opening government, Julia Blake.
Yes, I'm here.
And good. And Hajar Mayesh.
I'm here also.
Awesome. So the closing government will be Basma Adel Maghribi.
Yes.
Awesome. And Tariq Al-Nawish.
I have just to say that my teammate is unfortunately not present, so I will have to take the two roles. He's not present today.
Okay, so Basma, you will be you will take
the member and the web. Thank you.
Okay, okay, noted. Okay, so for the opening opposition, we have Mario Lopez.
Yes.
Awesome. And we have Ahmed Sadwana Ali. Ahmed?
Can you check your mic, Ahmed, please?
Okay, yeah, I'm present.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. And for the closing opposition, we have Katerina Tranova.
Yes.
Okay, good. And for the last debater, we have Adnan Yousfi. Adnan, are you here?
Don't see him for the moment. Like, can we try to contact him or drop him an email or something?
I will drop in
Yeah.
a message.
Okay. We can also try to contact him on our side.
So Irada, we will wait for 2 minutes. before
Yes,
Adnan
please.
Okay.
Thanks.
Just so we don't have any miscommunication. This is Ahmed Mohammed from Egypt, yes?
This is Adnan Yousfi from Algeria that is actually missing.
I'm sorry, can you give me the name again? I apologize.
Sorry, Adnan Yousfi from Algeria.
Adnan. Okay, thank you.
Just confirmed right now he's facing, I think, technical issues. He said the link is not working for him.
Okay, so we will get the company to send him another link. Okay. We should be on our way.
So Adnan is joining.
I've asked them to send him another link. So if you can notify him, I expect he will be.
Okay, so Katerina or Ahmed, can you please notify Adnan to keep checking his email?
Yes.
Yeah, we already informed them through WhatsApp, so he's checking his Gmail right now.
Thank you, guys. Is that all? Have you completed the check?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
only Adnan.
Okay, it's only Adnan. Okay. Let's give it, if you don't mind. I mean, Shraq, this is your decision to make, but I would suggest we give him a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
I think he used my link, so that's my name on his camera. So he just showed up right now with Ahmed.
Okay, thank you. Because the company, they were asking if he went in through the right link. Okay, so can we maybe ask him, Adnan, can you rename Can you, I don't know if he can rename.
Hello, I'm here, but I think I can rename the
Okay.
Just give me a second.
Try, and if you cannot, we can try to.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. There you go. Great.
Yeah. Sorry
right.
for being late.
Okay. Dear adjudicators, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elada. So, welcome all to today's debate. My name is Ashwaq Madani, and I will be the lead adjudicator of today, along with David, who will be adjudicating with me, along with David and Sarah.
Greetings, everyone.
Hello and good luck.
Okay, so without no further to do, I will remind you of the motion. So this House believes that governments of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. This will be today's motion. I will take a few moments to remind you of the debate rules. So each one of you will have 5 minutes per speaker to deliver their speech. Also, you can ask points of information. So points of information are not allowed during the first and the last minute. And when you ask a point of information, you basically unmute yourself and ask for it. Then wait for 5 seconds to hear the response of the speaker. If you hear no response, then this means that your point of information has been dismissed by the speaker. In order to ask another point of information, you should wait 15 seconds. So between each point of information, there should be 15 seconds. The other point is that you can ask for points of order, POO, only if you believe that the rules of the debate are being violated. Moving on to the timekeeping. So when you start your speech, you will hear 1 beep after the first minute. So that beep signals that points of information are allowed from now on. You will hear another beep when there is only 1 minute left, meaning that there should be no more points of information asked. At the end of your speech, when the time is over, you will hear 2 beeps, and then continuous beeps 20 seconds after the end of your speech to signal the most concluding points of your speech. So after the debate, after we finish the debate, I will ask the debaters to leave the room and then come back after 15 minutes to allow the adjudicators to deliberate. And then when they're back, you will hear the results of the debate. Does everyone agree on that? Perfect. So again, this House believes that governments of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. We call the first speaker the Prime Minister of the opening government, Julia Blake. You have 5 minutes whenever you are ready. Julia?
Hi. Will we have a timer on the screen, or shall I find the timer myself?
Normally there is a timer, but you also can keep track. Elada, maybe if you're still here. Elada? Probably Elada is not hearing.
It's okay. I can find the timer myself.
Okay, so normally there's...
Or is there a problem?
Yes, Andy, Danny, sorry. Will there be a timekeeper?
Oh, any one of the adjudicators can be a timekeeper.
Okay, so David or Sarah, would you mind sharing your screen for a timekeeper?
Ashwa, and if it doesn't work, the debaters, each and every one of them has their own mobile so they can follow their own time, and you have yours, so you can just to signal to them.
And then, when time is up, I think they know and you'll tell them.
Okay, so I will take care of that.
Exactly, do it that way.
Okay, so I will do the beeps, and each one of the debaters will have their timekeepers next to them. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. So again, the Prime Minister, Julia Blake, you have the floor.
Sorry, I cannot seem to start the timer. Okay, I start. So thank you for the floor and welcome to my fellow government members and the respectable members of the opposition and the honorable jury. We have all heard the discrepancies in education between developed and developing countries. And today we look at developing countries and the education within and believe that governments in such countries should proactively incentivize their students to study within their own countries. Students should be motivated by their own government to further their education within their own countries and exclude the possibility of brain drain. In defining incentives, these may include assurance of better quality of education, which is at par with those abroad, assurance of educational experiences, the giving of maintenance grants and benefits to students to assure them that they cope financially, the giving of scholarships, which also help students financially, whilst introducing healthy competition between them. We therefore support the idea of investment in education by developing countries for their own good. The arguments for this motion are numerous, comprising of educational, developmental, social, and economic motives. I, as Prime Minister of this House, I will deal with this issue at hand from a three-dimensional perspective. This brings me to the first argument in the favor of this motion. Education is the key to climb the ladder of poverty and into prosperity. Why? Because it is only when a country has an educated nation that that nation can give back to the country. Here we cannot but mention Malala's famous quote, "Education is the best weapon through which we can fight poverty, ignorance, and terrorism." In 2017, the United Institute for Statistics identified that across sub-Saharan Africa, 1 in every 3 children, adolescents and youths are out of school, with girls more likely to be excluded from boys. As a government, we believe that there should not be a distinction in gender. We should speak of students as a general term, inclusive of any gender, age, or race. Therefore, the government should incentivize every student, irrespective of who they are. The Tanzania Development Vision of 2025 is a clear scenario wherein the government aims at transforming a low productivity agricultural economy into a semi-industrialized one through medium-term frameworks. Through this vision, more emphasis will be placed particularly on education, as most poverty reduction interventions depend on the availability of human capital. Human capital is available, however, they need to be educated. It is therefore apparent that Tanzania, a developing country, aims to combat poverty and low productivity through better education within their own country, which will in turn ameliorate the country's workforce. Therefore, through incentives given to students to study in their home country, the government would ultimately be investing in education. Education helps combat poverty, which unfortunately is very common in a lot of developing countries. And this brings us back to the motion. We believe as a government that yes, we should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. In this last closing statement, I would like to re-emphasize the importance of excluding brain drain from our society, from the society of developing countries. Through education, it is only through education that brain drain could be excluded, and poverty as well, as to ameliorate such countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed, the Prime Minister. You have left 23 seconds. We move now to the leader of opposition.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, adjudicators. Thank you to the Prime Minister for your words, their distinguished government team, and their fellow opposition members. Warm greetings. I hope everyone is doing great and above all, staying safe. So today we are discussing a motion that I think everyone can relate with. And I would like to highlight it one more time. We are talking about education. We are talking about studying abroad or not. We are talking about exchanges. And as the opposition team, we strongly oppose the motion and say that governments of developing countries shouldn't proactively incentivize students in their own country. Firstly, I would start by defining the words as the Prime Minister haven't done it. I will start by defining the word proactively, that according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, it means in a way that causes changes by taking action rather than reacting to changes. Then I want to define incentivize. According to the Cambridge English Dictionary, it can be summarized as to make someone want to do something. And then I would like to define developing countries for the motion, that according to the United Nations, we define developing countries as the countries that have low living standards, undeveloped industrial base, and low human development. So now I can start by refuting the argument of the Prime Minister, and I would like to mention that they say that education is the key to prosperity and it leads to countries' achievement. But when we are talking about education, we are talking about not only about formal education, but also about cultural, moral, and alternative education, which we believe we can just be successfully achieved by just studying in a school. So now I would like to start by, well, I would like to follow
information.
Yes, thank you. By exposing my argument, that is that we strongly oppose this motion because it doesn't encourage or promote quality education. To support this argument, I will be discussing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. As we all know, there is an imbalance between developing countries and developed countries concerning the educational system academic facilities. For example, according to the World University Rankings compiled by the Times Higher Education, more than half of the world's top 200 universities are located either in USA or UK, because both countries share a rich tradition of quality higher education, excellent research, facilities, and a culture that promotes intellectualism as well as academic freedom. Also, when we talk about education, as I have said before, we talk about cultural education too. So,
information.
In order to promote cultural exchange between these countries, it is very important to encourage and incentivize students to study abroad, not just to learn other cultures, but to promote their home's culture. And according to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, the target 4.7 says that by 2030, it will ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable styles. Therefore, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of the cultural diversity of the culture's contribution to sustainable development. So, how can we achieve such global citizen and appreciation of cultural diversity when students are encouraged to study in their own countries? So, based on this strong argument, followed up with this explanation, we strongly believe that studying abroad is beneficial not just for the student, but for their own country. Therefore, we strongly oppose the motion by saying that developing countries shouldn't proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries, but rather encourage them to implement what they have learned abroad in the country to promote the quality of education in their various countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mari Lopez. So give me a second before moving to the next speaker.
Ashwak, apparently I've been told that Tarek is trying to join. So I don't know if you people of the same group have some information about it.
Yes, Basma said she will take his place at the first.
Yeah,
right?
but apparently he's trying to join. I don't know,
Yeah.
Basma or someone else from the group. Do you have some news?
Yes.
About him?
I haven't received any news from him, so I was glad if he joins.
Yeah. So he's trying there. He's being sent a link now to try to join. But I suggest that we continue, and if he does join, then we take it forward accordingly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So we move to the Deputy of the Prime Minister, Hajar.
Yes, I'm ready. Can we start? All right, so I'll start now. So, hello, honorable members of the jury, dear members of the government, and respectable members of the opposition. Today, we're dealing with a very important topic, which is whether or not should governments of developing countries proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. I just would like to thank the members of the opposition for their own trial to defend against the motion. And before that, I would like to confirm my stance of the government, and it falls to me as a Deputy Prime Minister to emphasize that this House of the government strongly believes that governments in developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. Before I start to present my own argument, I would like to move back to the arguments or claims provided by the member of the leader of the opposition. She stated that studying in own country does not promote inclusive education. I just cannot understand how is that not possible. And she also claimed that, for example, learning about sustainable goals and development cannot happen but in foreign countries. This is not true, as we can actually include that in our education. And she also claimed that the best universities are only in the US and UK. She's denying that in the world there are lots of other good universities and a lot of scientists and experts have graduated from these universities. So she's as though trying to create some sort of inequality between countries, and that is not so good, I suppose. So I would like to move to my own argument, and I just would like to link to what the Prime Minister have mentioned. She linked earlier that there is a tight connection between studying abroad and brain drain, which is a very, very important issue. So what kind of connection, you might be wondering? Well, students from developing countries students from these developing countries studying in developed countries decide not to return to their home after their studies. And this is not just a claim, I have evidence that support this. A study conducted by the Journal of World Business examined the reasons for international students' inclinations to stay in their host countries in a sample of 949 management students who came to study in the United Kingdom and the United States as the leader of the opposition was sitting at the best universities, it was found that the most influential factors in a foreign country's student decision to remain were the perception of labor market in the host country, students' adjustments process, and their family ties with the students in the host countries. The results were depressing, however. It was concluded, and I quote,
Get some information.
Granted.
Well, you mentioned that the students don't return to their countries. Do you think the solution of them not returning to their countries is cutting off their access to abroad, or rather incentivize the students to come back to their countries and implement what they've learned abroad? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this point. This is a very, very important point. I'm not saying that we should cut. We're not going to ban them from going to other countries. We're going to encourage them to stay in the developing countries, and as I'm going to elaborate further on in my argument. So, as I mentioned, the study findings would be of concern to home countries, which enable their best people to travel overseas to study and hope to reap the benefits in the future, but face the risk of eventually losing them, thus suffering from brain drain. And we all know the massive disadvantages of brain drain on developing countries, not only on the economic level, but also on the research and development level. Here I would like to give an example which is very, very current and accurate to the current situation. So the Moroccan expert in immunology and vaccinology, Monsef Slaoui, the latter will lead the American team with developing COVID-19 vaccine, something which would be highly needed in developing countries such as Morocco. Do you think if Monsef Slaoui found similar support and a good work environment in Morocco, would he stay in the US, abandoning his extended family, his culture, his whole country's people? I would like the answer to your best judgment, for I know that the picture is not clearer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all from developing countries, and I sense your urge to find better life experiences, but we are here we are the hope of our countries. Do you want progress or regress? We all have displayed strong evidence that studying abroad, not granted, I'm sorry, protected minute. Do you want to progress or regress, as I mentioned? Studying abroad has direct connection with brain drain, the thing which results in developed countries becoming more and more progressive, while developing countries remain poorer, less advanced, and always dependent on developed countries. Therefore, we should think about it. We should provide good incentives for these students and provide work opportunities for them rather than just send them abroad. And here I would like to emphasize the points of my position, and that is this House believes that governments of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Hajar, for your speech. Before we continue, just want to make sure if you can hear the beep, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me beeping. Okay. Thank you. So we move now to the deputy.
Okay, I hope you can hear me first.
Yes.
You can hear me. Okay, cool. So thank you so much, educators, fellow debaters, government, and opposition team. First of all, I feel like the debate is going left and right, so I would like to bring everyone together in the debate. First of all, I'd like to state our stance, which is this House as the opposition. We believe that governments of developing countries shouldn't proactively incentivize students to study in their country. The Prime Minister was going left while the second Deputy Prime Minister was going right. The first speaker was talking about encouraging studying in their countries, gender equality, trying to create an equality for everyone to have access to education in the country, while the second speaker was talking about studying abroad. So we think like they are actually going in a diverse way. So, like I said, as the second speaker,
points of information.
struggling. Yeah, sure.
We're not going left and right with my all due respect. We were talking about providing quality education through incentives, and thank you so much.
Okay, so just like I have a lot of points that the first speaker was actually talking about creating equality between genders, and this is more of talking about quality education and giving access to everyone. So this is talking about giving access to everyone, talking about education, equality, and other factors. Well, to bring our arguments, I will be discussing this by saying we strongly oppose this motion because it discourages the partnership between countries. First of all, I'd like to
Point of
emphasize
information.
projected. I'd like to emphasize on what the first speaker said. When we talk about the academic aspect, we're talking about SDG 4. And I would like to repeat the SDG 4, which is ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. When we talk about opportunities, we're talking about studying abroad. So if you're going to object studying abroad, which the motion says proactively incentivize. If we say proactively, it is more like emphasizing and more like encouraging. Rejected. While we know that the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister agreed with us that the developing countries are facing a lot of problems regarding academic facilities. So why don't we encourage the students to study abroad? Then, if they finish the studies, to encourage them to come back to the country to implement what they've learned and give and actually promote quality education in their country, rather than incentivizing students to study in their own country. And rejected, according to the UN SDG 4, target 4.b, by 2020, substantially expand globally the numbers of scholarship available to developing countries. In particular, list developed countries, small island, developing states, and African countries for enrollment in higher education. Another point which goes with my claim, which is discourages the partnership between countries, is talking about the SDG 17, which is to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So on an academic level, don't you think exchange programs between schools, for example, will strengthen and promote this collaboration and partnership between these countries? Also, I would like to, another argument is its impact on cultural diplomacy. According to study conducted in Rice University, it argues that study abroad students should be at the center of cultural diplomacy. It recognizes that students can engage in soft action to establish intercultural dialogue. So talking about its cultural impact and strengthening partnerships between countries, don't you think we should rather encourage the students to study abroad and bring back what they've learned to their own country? Secondly, this motion demotes personal growth and doesn't ensure having more opportunities. Well, according to study by University of California, 97% of study abroad students found employment within 12 months of graduation, when only 49% of college students found employment in the same period. So don't you think governments proactively incentivizing students to study in their own country is limiting their career chances, while we clearly know that the academic facilities in these countries are not up to the level of the developed countries? So therefore, we believe with all these points and evidence, we've been able to prove our stance that we go against this motion that says this House believes that governments of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own country, but rather incentivize students to study abroad, then implement what they've learned in abroad and promote the education in their country. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, the Deputy of the Opposition. We move now to the Member of Government. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, I will start now. Dear debaters, dear adjudicators, and thank you so much for having me tonight in this interesting debate. First of all, as a member of the government, we would like to emphasize on our position that we support that the government of a developing country should incentivize proactively the student to study in their own country. Before replying back to the deputy of opposition, who said, I would like to say to extract his last word, that he said that countries government by incentivizing and encouraging their students to study in their own country, by this way they are limiting their career options. Absolutely not. In all the in government and all our speeches, we did not object studying abroad. We said that the government and the chances are open. Let me tell you that internationalization and globalization of higher education is a truth, and is a reality that we would face it, we deal with it. And as it has its pros, it has its cons, it has its negative aspects that with the developing country have to deal with it. So we are not limiting the career options, and the government, the prime minister has already answered and has already declared his policy that the government will incentivize the students to study in their own country by actually providing scholarship, by providing a good quality of education. So we are just giving them another option, and to those, to the student, the choice, the ultimate choice, because the programs are present, the opportunity of studying abroad are still present, the globalization and this internationalization is still present, but we are giving them more opportunity, we are giving them another chance just to stay in their own country. That's first. The second one, you said that they will study abroad and they will learn their experiences, and they will be more educated, and then they will return back. Okay, let me tell you, what are they educated there? They are educated about the market and the job market that will serve these developed countries, not these developing countries. When they return, there will be a mismatch between their experiences and knowledge and between the local needs that they serve in their nation. And so the deputy of the government has already said that they preferred to stay in their resident nation. And also I have that by a poll and a survey that is done by Egyptian, as an eye in Egypt, they said that about 77% of the 5,000 Egyptians that are studying abroad prefer to stay in their host countries because of job opportunities. So now we are saving and we are dealing with the poverty and problems, not granted, with problems that the developing countries are facing. We are dealing with the problem and negative aspect that we have to deal with it. My point and my argument is about a social phenomena, that actually this globalization of higher education could be considered as a privatization, but on a larger scale, that we see that there is like an elitism, or there is something like exclusive. These world nations, universities are the best for these students, so they are attracting students. So the 1% or like a small percentage of rich students, or those who have an access to study abroad, will be given access to this experiences and this knowledge. And then when they return back to their host nation, to their own country, if they return back, if we supposedly that they return back, there will be like inequality between the local graduate and those students who studied abroad. And of course, the employers will just be attracted to those who studied abroad because of some international perspective. Like I have here a study made by Education University of Hong Kong in 2018 said that in China, not granted, I'm sorry, it's for 45 seconds, that majority of employers in China prefer the returnees because of their international perspective. 80% of the employers just give a better package to those returnees than the local graduates. So we think about a social effect, a political effect, a widening gap between these students, the same generation, the same young generation. The government is creating a widening gap between the local graduates and between those students. Thanks. So by that, we are incentivizing that the countries should incentivize the students to study in their own country. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, the member of government. We call now the member of opposition. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to welcome the education members. I would like to also welcome the government team and my fellow teammates in the opposition team. First, I would like to confirm our stance, which is this House believes that governments of developing countries should not proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. Before providing my arguments, I'd like to refute some of the claims, some of the contradictions, some of the misunderstanding that the government team has provided. First, the Prime Minister, they want to proactively incentivize students to be educated in their home countries, but at the same time, they want to offer scholarships. I don't see how that goes hand in hand, because when you want to encourage a student to stay in their countries to study, you don't offer scholarship. You work to better or to be better in your education system, not
Points
to
of information.
scholarships denied. Because offering scholarships actually is a sign of weakness from the government, because they know that the educative system is bad, so they offer scholarships for students to go abroad and return. Because, for example,
of information
denied. For example, you don't see like the United States government or the United Kingdom's government offering scholarships to come and study in Algeria, for example, or Morocco, or because they know that they are better. So for the second point that the Prime Minister said, he said like the education and poverty. But my question
Point
is,
of information.
Okay.
Don't you know that scholarships cannot be just to be sent to for someone to be sent abroad, but there are also financial scholarships so that students can support themselves within the country. And thank you. And this happens in Morocco, by the way. Thank you so much.
Okay, but as we know also that the majority of universities in third world countries or in developing countries are belongs to the states. They are not privatized. So the majority of universities are like, actually you can study for free. So that's the case. So I would like to go back to the Prime Minister, and she said it's like the opportunity. It's for me, it's not the question of opportunity of education, but a question of a quality of education. So we have to offer a quality of education, because the opportunity of education, to me, to a large extent, is available nowadays better than the past. Then I'll move to the denied. I'll move to the Deputy Prime Minister when she said like there are several developing countries have good universities, but I would like to recommend to the Deputy Prime Minister to see the ranking of universities. For example, the top 100 are all developed countries. There are no developing countries, and it is actually based on scientific criteria and professional criteria. So yeah, that's why we want to encourage students to go abroad, not just to stay in their countries. And then the government denied. The government member said that it doesn't, like going abroad doesn't affect their career, or staying at home doesn't affect their career. Well, it does. For example, in Yale University, for example, when you graduate, you have a chance that in 3 months that you will get a job. But for example, here in Algeria, when you graduate, maybe it's 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, you never know. But there, like 96% of their students get a job after 3 months. The government actually wants to encourage students to stay and be educated in their countries, and at the same time, they want students to go outside. This is contradictory from the part of the government team, because they don't go hand in hand. You must choose. So I think that the government team is a kind of contradiction or confusing, because they want students to go abroad because they know that the developing countries' universities are bad.
Point of information.
I think that the time is past for a point of information. Now I move to my arguments, which is concerned with freedom of choice. We are living in the 21st century. We have freedom of choice. So the students should choose whatever they want to choose. If they want to study at home, they can study at home. If they want to study abroad, they can study abroad. And even if they decide not to come back, it's their choice, because I study to work, not I study to come to my country and stay unemployed for 2 years. Finally, I would like to remind you of our stance, which is that this House believes that governments of developing countries should not proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move now to the government whip. Just before, before you start again, I would like again one more time to check if you can hear the beeps, because they're so crucial. Can you hear that?
For me, I cannot hear that. I am with my own timer. I am unfortunate, I can't hear it.
Yeah, Ashraf, I can hear it, but like I think the way people is talking or like there's too much emphasis you see on the word thing that they're saying, so perhaps it's tough. But like we can hear it, so the best advice, people, please get a timer. We know we say 3, 2, 1, everyone starts, and that's it. All right.
Yes, yes,
It's a good
that's it.
debate, though. Oh, carry on.
Thank you, David. Yeah, so since the beep is so, the volume of my phone is so on max and you cannot hear it, so it would be very useful, like David said, to follow the time on your own, and before asking a point of information, check if you're on time or not. Yes, so the whip of the government whip, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Yes, hello again. So at the end of this debate, from the government perspective, we have realized or noticed some clash between the government and the opposition team. The opposition team insisted that by the government incentivizing, by encouraging the students and making them want to stay in their country, we are banning studying abroad, or we are saying totally no to all the scholarship or going outside of this country. But all the arguments said and presented by the government is talking about a problem that the developing countries are facing, and they are dealing with it. No one said anything about the studying abroad. And I have to reply back the last word of my teammate, the member of opposition, who said the freedom of choice. Thank you so much for saying that. We also encourage the freedom of choice. But how can be a choice if there is not a choice? If there is always a best and no education, if there is always a university who always ensures the best education, the best job opportunity, the best future, and education, and a nation and universities who doesn't have the same opportunity, how can a student have a choice? The government, by encouraging people and by giving them a better education and by ameliorating their state universities and their national university, they are giving another choice, not granted, are giving another choice to the student to make their own choice, and they are free at the end, but give them another choice. So now back to the clash and back to our debate. I would like to sum up all the arguments said by the important arguments said by our government team. The Prime Minister Julia Blake have underlined an important argument, which is the main problem the developing countries are actually facing, which is poverty. Poverty of the developing countries cannot be dealt with loans or by pledges or by money. It will be dealt with people. It will be dealt with their own people, with their own market, with their own capacities, and those capacities are actually immigrating outside of the countries. We are losing them. We are losing the strength of the national university, the great role of this national university, and the high education of employing some cultural values in those students. This educational role is actually shifted in just giving them like a business, like giving them the best education, and the student, which is a client who can give more, who can pays more, who can goes more to goes the farthest, who has the financial resources, can actually get this best education and can get the best opportunity. So by our first arguments, we are dealing with the poverty, and the education is the weapon. The second argument is actually an argument that deals with the same problem that we are actually talking about, a brain drain. The brain drain that the developing countries are actually facing, that they are losing the skillful people, they are losing the talented people who are born, who are raised in this country, who get the food, who get for example, the elementary education, who have enjoyed all the benefits of this country, and then they are educated outside. Yes, granted.
Okay, so you're talking about a country that is suffering from hunger and poverty, and you're talking about giving them the best education. Do you think a country suffering from that will be able to give such education to their students? Thank you.
Okay, I said by poverty, that doesn't mean that they don't have the means. And the Prime Minister has said that there is means. By encouraging people, you are giving them a better education. By encouraging, you are giving scholarship. You are making them stay. You are making them, improve their own education. So not that they are poverty, that they are giving the same the worst education, not, but we don't need to make an exclusive. Okay, and actually the opposition leader has admitted that there is an imbalance between the developed countries and the developing countries, and actually by encouraging people to immigrate and to study abroad, we are still facing the same problem, that there is an imbalance, and there will still be an imbalance if those people doesn't return, if those people doesn't encourage their own nation. So the developing country will still be developing country, and those developed countries like UK and United States are actually having benefits of those students. They are gaining taxes, they are gaining money, they are gaining workers and skillful people, and the developing country loses them all. So there will be always an imbalance. So actually, we need to the government of those countries needs actually to encourage the people to stay in their country, not to limit them, not to ban them, but to give them more options to stay and to stay loyal to their country to help it. Thank you so much.
You run out of time. You took 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Moving now, thank you very much indeed, Basma, for your speech. Moving now to the opposition whip, the last speaker of this whole debate. You have the floor.
Chua? We didn't hear you very well. Could you please repeat?
Yes, sorry. I was thinking
A bit
Basma,
more loudly, please.
Thank you very much, Basma, for your speech. We now call the opposition whip. You have 5 minutes. Katrina?
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, honorable educators, fellow opposition team, and distinguished government team. I would say that it has been so far very interesting contribution of both from both houses. As the opposition team, I would like to restate our stance, which is that as opposition, we strongly oppose to a motion that states that this House believes that government of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their own countries. Throughout the debate, we have been able to present arguments and explanation to prove our position. Starting from the leader of opposition, our leader defined keywords for motion, which are significantly important for creating arguments from both houses. They were presented different ways of understanding of education and also highlighting the importance of culture education and moral education, which students can benefit from studying abroad. Moreover, there are concerns about quality of education.
Points of information.
With underlying fact that the best universities are located in developed countries. Without any doubts, we cannot underestimate the benefit of studying abroad, because we believe that students from developing countries could bring the best practices into their own country and improve their own education system.
Bits of information.
Then our deputy leader of opposition took the floor, refuting claims given by the first speaker, followed by our second argument. As a support for our arguments, we mention SDG 4 to support long lifetime education and equal access for education for all. There was suggestion to incentivize students from developing countries to come back their home country to improve education system. So therefore to contribute to social economic growth. On behalf of promoting equality equality, we don't want to limit career choices of students. For SDG 17, we highly promote global partnership on international level, strengthening the partnership, and we encouraging to build these relationships abroad. For a member of opposition, they successfully refute other arguments that were given by government
Point of
by
information.
confirming the opposition stance. Also, they presented other arguments, which was uncertainty of getting job position in their field, in their own home country. We want to also avoid victimization. One of the main values of human rights, which is freedom of choice and freedom to decide to get quality of education abroad.
Point of information.
However, we believe that these strong arguments and the refutation of opposition arguments have been presented. We have been able to confirm our position against the motion, which says that this is how that government of developing countries should proactively incentivize students to study in their home, in their own countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the opposition whip, for your speech. I now announce the end of the debate. Thank you both teams for this amazing debate. I will ask you now to leave the room and come back in exactly 15 minutes. So in my time, it's 6:30, 6:45. You will join again just to give time to adjudicators to deliberate. Thank you. Okay, David, can you hear us?
ايوه
Hi. Hi, Sarah.
اشرف انت منين؟
Sorry?
انت where are you from؟
Oh, أنا من الجزائر. I'm from Algeria.
الجزائر تحت الجزائر كالعادة. Wait, I got my things here.
Okay, so what I will ask you to do is to write the first and the fourth, the four themes in a paper, and then we'll count to 3 and reveal our papers.
Oh. And the last one, all right. Was go. All right. Got it. You wanna see it? Yes or no?
I will need 1 more minute to decide.
Sarah. Sarah.
I need to consider everything.
You do. Tell me, Ashwaq, you know تحب أغاني دحمان الحراشي.
How do you know? You know دحمان الحراشي for real.
أيوة أكيد. من لا يعرفه. انت ثبت يعني صعب علي بس اللهجة الجزائرية. Anyway, how was it about yourself? What would you think? Like, I think it was like average, not to say below average, perhaps. Hmm?
Okay, so can we just make sure who are the teams?
Yeah. So I have it here.
Julia and Hajar.
Hajar. This is A. Yeah, you will go on.
So this is A. And we have Mar and Ahmed as B, right? We have Basma and Basma as C. And we have Adnan and Katarina as D, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I will go for okay, so I'm ready.
Okay, so on 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a very hard decision.
This wasn't hard though, in my opinion.
No, a little bit, you know.
We'll see. Come on. Say Ashraf.
1, let's go.
I got B and C to me.
Okay, first and fourth, B and C, and to you.
For me, it's D and A.
So the first one for you is D.
Yes.
Adnan and Katarina.
Adnan have presented some solid arguments, and he did a good job refuting. Even for style, he was good, you know. And he gave statistics, so I think that it was very good. He finished the time. Katarina, though, did a good summary. She brought up all the SDGs, although she didn't take any points of information, and she finished a little bit before time. But overall, their performance was good.
And how about Mar and Ahmed?
Mar and Ahmed. Okay, so Ahmed did the review. Mar, she finished. Okay, what do I have? She defined some terms that are very. It was very malicious and smart from her to define some things, but some definitions weren't really necessary for me. And she did talk about cultural education, moral, not only in school but overall. But I think that Adnan did a better job for me.
Okay, so
Yeah, but like after Ahmed.
Ahmed, I think that since I've seen his performance earlier, I didn't feel that he gave it his all, because at some point he was just restating things that he's already said. He didn't present a solid argument for me. He did a not bad job in refuting, and even his style, like he wasn't very passionate as he was before. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can't compare with another debate though. It was a bit tilqa'i. So yeah. Ashraf, how about yourself? I agree with what Sarah said though. So I mean, we can definitely say an agreement.
yes, so what I'm supposed to do now is to make you guys find some common results. And if there's no results, I will have to say what I think, you know. Yeah, so how about we review the sheets they have us, the handouts number 3, and check them one by one and see, you know, who's the winning team, who did better than the other.
Yeah, but like we only have 15 minutes. Let me just take a look here.
But
yes.
I can agree with David a little bit, you know. There were
Yeah, but like
my
also me,
second
like that is why I'm asking you, Ashraf, because I mean Sarah said like reasonable things as well. So I mean the only thing is that you can't compare one debate with another. I mean, but like it sounds
we are
reasonable.
talking when I mentioned Ahmed, right?
Yeah. So because you said Adnan and Katerina. Me too. I like Adnan, but like Katerina was just I didn't see too much emphasis. You see, so always descriptive, not too much analytical. But they were good. You see, I gave like to Mar and Ahmad, I gave 74 and 75. To Adnan and Katerina, I gave 75 and 73, something like that. So that is why, to me, like.
So they are first and second team for us.
This is like.
They are definitely first and second team for us. So Adnan and Katerina, we have Ahmed and Mar. So I think that Ashraf should choose her.
That's why Ashraf, you see, like.
Yeah.
Me and Sarah, we got some good feelings, so that's why we almost on the same.
Yeah.
Reason.
Yeah. One point, like just like David said, a debater should only be compared to other debaters in the same debate. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And yeah, not with other debates because performance from one debate to another debate doesn't really interest us as the performance of that debater compared to the other debaters in the same debate. So speaking about Sufyan, he spent. I rang the bell and he said, so moving on to my argument. I mean, it was 1 minute left. And obviously, no arguments can be elaborated on that point. So
Who are you talking about?
When Sufyan spoke,
there is no Sufyan.
Who is
Oh,
Sufyan?
Adnan. Sorry.
Adnan.
He looks like Sufyan. I know. Anyway, so Adnan, when Adnan was speaking, it was only 1 minute left when he said, "So my argument is."
Ah.
Yeah. So
I
at
didn't
that
realize that.
Yeah, at that point he missed the arguments because he didn't explain it well, and he missed the time management, and he allocated so much time on the refutation and rebuttal.
But his argument was stronger than the other team. But he didn't give it much time, actually. His argument was the freedom of choice. I said that his argument was the freedom of choice, and yet he spent so much time refuting, but his argument was stronger than Mars' argument. I don't know. But yes, I agree with that point. It was 4 minutes when he gave his argument.
Yeah, but I don't remember. Like he was refuting, but like refuting means that you also like say your stuff at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, when he refuted, he talked about the contradiction in the other team's stand. He talked about studying your country and offer scholarships. That's contradiction. He didn't take points of information considering that point, and I think that they wanted to say that scholarships within your country, which he refuted by saying that within your country you have public universities mostly and not private ones. He talked about education and poverty. How are you going to offer a good education if you are still struggling with poverty? He talked about quality education, rather than the opportunities are available outside. He talked about the ranking universities which are outside of the developing countries, and he was like, we should encourage them to stay. And he mentioned how in Yale you get a job after 3 months while in developing countries.
Yeah, with Harvard and Yale and stuff.
Yeah, he gave statistics also 96%.
Okay,
and,
we're gonna.
About let's move to Katrina. Yeah.
Katrina, she did.
Sorry. Katrina.
Yeah, she gave a summary. It was very thorough, but she didn't give any refutation, I guess. She just stated what happened in debate overall. She didn't refute anything, but she gave a summary and she didn't finish the time. It was 4 minutes something.
So, like Sarah, you think that like Mar and Ahmed like بشكل عام were better than Adnan and Katrina? Both of them combined.
Yeah, both of them combined, Mar and Ahmed would be a better choice.
Mar and Ahmed together.
Yes.
You see, that's why. Because also today, like Adnan was way far the best debater in the team, like in this competition, like in this session. But like together, like at the end of the day, Mar was a better partner than Katrina. I don't know.
Yes, I do agree with that. Also, they used most of their time. They talked about cultural diplomacy, limiting career choices, academic, and so we can agree on Mar and Ahmed.
And the last one, I would say Basma and Basma. I couldn't follow her. Like to be fair, like too much stuff. Like I don't see a structure. Don't see anything like to me. So number C.
Basma, there was
Tarek, let's say Basma and Basma. Huh?
Basma, and also, yeah, I think that.
Who did you put as Basma?
Because for me, And I'm actually like, these teams are like, that's what I took so much time, because Julia in the beginning, she didn't give a structure of the debate. I'm going to talk about this second, who is going to talk. That's very important, you know? And she didn't give a solid argument. She gave statistics though. She was good at some point, but then she became like really slow. And I don't think that as the first speaker, you should be that slow, because people might just don't want to follow the debate.
And how about
As for Hajar,
performance though?
she spoke with passion. She refuted very well the 3 points of the of Moore, and she talked about brain drain. She said something like, we are all from developing countries, which is wrong, because some people weren't, and she just like generalized that.
Okay.
And she finished at 5 minutes something. That's my points on her. My points on Basma though. She was a little bit all over the place. Yes.
Sorry, because we just have 2 minutes left and 15 minutes to order 4 teams or 8.
Ashraf, how about yourself? Who's the last one, your opinion? For
Uh,
me, it's the same. Like, I agree with what Sarah said. Like to
Yeah.
me, I would put either Basma or, as she said, Julia and Hajar.
Yes, I do agree with you on that, because there were a lot of items, crucial items missing, which would clearly dismiss them.
Should we put like Julia and Hajar? Because otherwise, Basma might say, yeah, because I was alone, it was difficult, and you look, I was the last one. I
And
don't-
Basma did double the effort.
It's true. You see, that's why. I mean, we have to recognize that at least. Should we have to?
So,
I can put her third. Valid, right?
okay, so we have the winning.
And the last one is Team A, Julia and Hajar.
And
Hajar means rock or what?
yes.
Ah, rock. All right.
Not Hajar, it's Hajar. It's like emigrated.
Ah, Hajar. Ah, with the ha, not Hajar. Ah, okay.
No, it's Hajar, not Hajar.
Yeah, but with the ha, مش الح. صح?
Yeah, with the ha.
Ah, Hajar. أيوة. So, first
So
one, B,
the winning team, Mar and Ahmed, right?
Team B.
Yeah.
Then we got
And
D.
the second
A.
team, Adnan and Katarina. And we have Basma, SC, and Hajar and Julia are the last team, right?
أيوة.
Ashwak,
Okay.
do you agree?
Can you say the order again?
So
Yeah,
we
I do
have
agree. Just can you again?
Team B, Mar and Ahmed as the winning team. We have Team D, Adnan and Katarina as the second. We have Team C, Basma and Basma as the third. And we have Team A, Hajar and Julia as the fourth.
All right. Let's get back to the.
We can elaborate on the scoring after this if you want.
All right. We agree. اتفقنا.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Adam. Hey, Adam, would you like to give us your opinion on who is the...
Wait, people is getting back.
I don't think I have the tools, but thank you.
You were there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe on another occasion, but thank you. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Most welcome.
for having us. It's a
So
pleasure.
we'll just wait for other participants to arrive. We can give, I think, feedback.
Yeah, you can give some feedback. I have one piece of kind of organizational information that I'd like to give, but this can also happen later because everybody needs to hear it. But yeah.
David, Ashwak, would you allow me to give 1 point or 2 and then you can go on if you want to give any other points? Yes, so just concerning the first speaker, Julia and Mark, I would advise you next time to give the structure of the debate. So for example, you include your teammates as well. So my first argument is this, the second person will talk about this, and the third person will talk about this. You did a great job giving arguments arguments and debating, and we're really proud to be here, David, Ashwak, Eliada, and I, and we encourage you to go for this path. And of course, organizing your time, like knowing how much time you are going to dedicate to refuting, when are you going to present your argument, and how to give a concluding statement by the end. That's very important. And just try to have points in front of you that you will talk about, so you wouldn't go all over the place and restating things you've already said. Have bullet points that, okay, I'm going to discuss this, and I'm going to discuss this, and I'm going to discuss this. I don't know if David or Ashwak would want to add something else, but thank you very much for your performance today. And remember, you are all winners, and the experience that matters.
Yes, so David, maybe you want to give us some feedback so we can help them improve.
Yes. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Sarah, for your precious feedback, and thanks everyone on being here. And it's a great occasion here, like talking about Euro-Mediterranean dialogue. So just only one thing, try perhaps to be more analytical rather than descriptive, okay? Because this is something that we're looking at. So it's good to say what's happening. Tell me also, please, why it does happen like this, and what are the implications of that. So don't tell me, okay, this is what happening. Tell me also because and how the things that are happening in terms of migration, in terms of education, in terms of economic issues, have an implication on the reality. You see. So explain me the process. Don't tell me just. Okay, this is what's happening. People are leaving. Tell me why. Tell me how can we address. Because at the end of the day, we're also here. Aside from this competition, we're also here doing like a brainstorming together. You see, because now we are here. Who knows? After 1 week or after 1 month, we could be together working for another project, perhaps with the British Council or with someone else. You see. So this is the most important thing: to build a common culture together, and not focusing on the issue, but focusing on how to resolve the issues, because this is the thing we're trying to build through our data. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. Really, like, it has been more than a pleasure. It has been a really tough decision. So it means that like, it was a good debate at the end of the day. So you have to be, all of you have to be proud. And it has really been a pleasure. So congrats. Please, Ashwak, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, David, for your important feedback. And thank you both teams for your amazing debate. As David said, it really was a tough decision to make. And adjudicators themselves had to convince each other why did they choose that team, why did they pick that team. But one thing that we all agreed on is that you are all winners, no matter what the decision is. And because the most important thing is that the learning process itself, not the results. So I know you're stressed, you want to know who is the winner. And yes, so after 15 minutes of deliberation, and the tough decision has been made, that, drum roll please, the winning team is the opening opposition, Mar and Ahmed. Congratulations for the winning team. You did really well. You stood out, but also the other teams, you made it very hard for them to win. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope you enjoyed it. And yes, Eliada?
Yes, thank you. So thank you, adjudicators. You've done a wonderful job for one more round. We obviously we're very, very happy that this is progressing so well. I think that the level of conversation is quite high. And as David pointed very rightfully, one of our big priorities here is to also register policy recommendations, which will be presented to high-level decision makers on Monday. So, but we're still in debating mode. So I would just like to tell you all that tomorrow morning you will receive the link to the afternoon's last debate. Yeah, so you will receive an email tomorrow morning. So don't stress about it tonight. You will get your email tomorrow morning. Also a reminder that tomorrow afternoon at 6:30, we'll be announcing the teams that are moving on to the next stage. So please tune in for that. And finally, I remind you of our networking meeting on Saturday morning. So please register your friends, ask them to register, because I think that it will be interesting to network with other YMV alumni and Erasmus Plus Virtual Exchange alumni and youth from the Euro-Mediterranean. And of course, the Monday morning debates, the Monday morning discussions. Some of you might be there because the winning team will be presenting policy recommendations to our guests. Yeah, that's it. Stay active on social media. Thank you very much again. It's been a wonderful afternoon with all of you. So take care and we'll see you tomorrow. And congratulations, Ahmed and Mar.
Thank you
I
so
have
much.
only just one question, please.
Yes,
concerning the motion of tomorrow, what, are we going to be, given the motion today or till tomorrow?
You will get it tomorrow. Yeah, with the link and with the, yeah. All right.
And even the roles tomorrow?
I'm sorry, Julia?
And with the roles we will be getting?
Yes, yeah. Danny will send you an email with all the information.
And sorry for another question.
Yes, Ahmed, yeah.
Regarding the registration, we received an email. So are we supposed to register for the semifinals on its own, the debate final and the networking activities?
No, for the semifinals, we will register the winning teams, right? So if you're one of the winning teams, you will know tomorrow afternoon. We will register you immediately because tomorrow night, Danny will be hard at work with all the results that he will get to register the people moving on to the next stage. If you're not in one of those teams, then you would, yes, need to go on the website, on the YMV website and register yourselves. And the same for the final if you're not at the final. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Ashwa?
Yes?
Do we need to send you the scoring or you can do it?
Yes. I think you will need to send me the scoring so I can send them back to Danny, I guess.
So we send you via email?
Yes.
Okay.
I can. All right.
In which sheet, please? Should I just send you like every team and how much they scored, or should it be detailed like argumentation, reputation, style, and?
I think there is a link. The link they sent us that should be filled, but I don't know. I will. You can ask them, email them, and tell me what they tell you.
Because in the adjudication guidelines, it's the head adjudicator who sends them, only them, you know.
No, I guess that for that I will need the scores, but I will ask and I will contact you via email if you don't mind.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for being there. Take care.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.